and welcome to the J Train Podcast. This is J Train Jared Freid coming to you live from the quarantine cabin out east on Montauk. That's right, the beach editions keep rolling in. I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Keep spreading the word. That's how this whole thing works. You tell a friend, a coworker, a brother, a sister, a mama, a papa. That's how it works. Make it your Instagram story. Make it your Instagram story. That feels good. Ooh, it feels like you're feathering my nuts, and it is cooling to the touch. Tag. I'm putting up videos every single day, so make sure you tag a friend in the videos. Go. I'm also on YouTube. I love YouTube land. Hello, YouTube land. Keep letting us know wherever you are. Just a comment. That feels good, and it helps. As crazy as that sounds, in this world that we live in, you're like, my comment? But I'm just me. Yeah, you. Sad little you helps when you write a little hello or a little tag or a little like or a little thumbs up. That all works. So keep doing it. Keep. Because we got your emails, your stories, your questions. And we got so many good emails. And I'm very excited about today's guest. It's her second time on the show. It's been too long. I'm very excited to have her back. Hilarious comic, so funny. She's got a podcast called Vag and a special on Netflix. That's right, people. The Degenerates Season 1. Is that what it was? 2. Season 2. Go check it out. Adriana Palucci, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure.
I know.
How are you? How's your quarantine? Give us this is kind of the thing you have to do at the front of all podcasts. Like, what's your sitch?
I get it. So I'm in the Bronx, my apartment. I have a car. So what I've been doing is I like to go to rich areas and walk around like I live there. So I go walk along the lake.
I've seen those videos and I enjoy them. Great. So you go to these areas and what's just to feel like you live there? Like, what is the...
No, it's not just that. It's so calm and peaceful along the water. You could just walk along the water. It's nice. My dog gets to pee on everything. It's just like
perfect.
A nice park. I just feel like even if something's awful, it doesn't even feel like the pandemic's going on there. It just feels like everything's so great.
It is an interesting thing that you're kind of saying. Is like your surroundings is the reality. That's, and when people, it's so funny, we get into this. You okay? Do you have it?
I think I'm dying.
You're dying? Is it over?
Yes,
Listen, no. That's what happens when you drink these rich people's water. They taint it, and they're getting you out of their town.
I'm out now.
So
it worked.
I do think it's funny because we live in this social media world, and then there's the real world, and then there's everyone's real world is so much smaller, and you don't touch elbows with the same people you would touch on social media. So you have these people that will like I saw last night, and we're in the middle of the horrors of the world. I mean, this podcast is not where you're going to go for your news, but right now we're seeing there was a killing and people going nuts on social media and trying to figure things out there. And then you see Madonna posts a video of her son dancing to end racism, and people are like that, and people are now mad at Madonna for thinking that that made a difference. And you're like, yeah, Madonna's world is in this world that doesn't exist.
Madonna thinks she's doing her best.
She's doing her best. And you're like, so it's funny to see, and none of it's funny, but it's funny to see the difference between when your real world surroundings kind of mesh into this, this tire fire of an online world where everyone is talking about real issues.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great escape. I like going there and pretending that nothing is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
they don't even know I'm an outsider.
Easy to do. No, you just walk around.
Walk around. It's just a park.
Okay, so it's one area. You haven't gone to different types of areas, have you?
I mean, I keep going to Larchmont just because it's so close and it's so nice, and you can walk along there. And
that's a very nice town in Westchester for the people listening around the country.
It's 20 minutes from where I live, 15, 20 minutes from the Bronx. It's so close.
Is there a piece of you that wants to move there?
Absolutely.
No question. Because there's this some people would be like, no, fuck that place. That place is the problem. You're like, no, get me there.
But we all secretly want to live there. Like it might be the problem, but we all secretly want to live there. It's
the
so
birds
close.
are chirping. Close to the city.
You could watch your husband get stabbed. As soon as you look at the water, it's just not going to be that bad. Like it's just not. It's just so great there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people right now, and I don't know. You're Bronx born and raised, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you from the Bronx, living in the Bronx. There's people that are like, I'm leaving New York City. Like, how do you feel about that? They're like, right now, the pandemic is, and kind of the situation at hand is making people rethink where they are. Do you have that thought at all?
Amazing. Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Lower the rents. Goodbye. Yeah. We've all been waiting for this.
Yes, this is what you need. This is the cleanse we needed.
I mean, it's sad that like something awful had to happen from it, but if rents go down in New York City and people just leave, I mean, it's kind of great. First of all, if you drive around right now, there's no traffic. I mean, no traffic. You're really not waiting a long time to get anywhere. It is the way it's supposed to be. I don't know where all those people need to just stay. You're gonna have to stay in Montauk.
This is where I live. I'm now on next season of the Affair. Yeah.
What a great show.
I haven't watched it. It's good.
It's so good. It's just like crap TV, but it's like you just keep watching it. And it's also that same thing too, where like he goes to Montauk, has this affair, and it's just like it's not real life. It's like Larchmont. It's just none of it's real life. There was
a moment yesterday. Or the other day where it is this weird thing, and we'll get to the emails, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. There's so much to talk about, but I was sitting in line at a natural foods place, like to get like an organic omelet or something, and I'm like, but then like you see the people in line like with the masks and 6 feet apart, and they're all trying to be so good, and it's
so
like
so
healthy, but also so like with the rules, but like also you're in Montauk, so like, is it really affecting you here? Like there's this. It's a weirdness. I don't know. It doesn't. You're wondering, and then there's people that are going against it. But the one thing I want to talk to you. Everyone needs to go check out Adrian on Netflix. I love the special. I know
thank you.
Degenerates, and they're all half-hour specials.
They're only 15 minutes. It's not even a special.
Is it 15?
Really. Yes.
Why did I think it was a half hour?
Because the other ones were a half hour, and now these are only 15.
Oh, interesting. But yours, I love. Adrian, your comedy, I'm a huge fan of. I love watching you do stand-up, and I think everyone would like it. What I like, too, is like you have this way where you make a very specific person upset for some reason.
Yes.
I've seen it because I'll host at the Cellar, and it's like, to say like I know who's going to love you when I see them in the crowd, but I also know who's going to be like legitimately hurt by, and it's always this like I feel like you knew the quote unquote Karen before we all knew that this person as a centralized character. Like I feel like you've been fighting Karen quote unquote
forever?
Your whole life. Yeah.
I feel like everyone in Larchmont would hate me.
Yeah, is that it?
As soon as they heard I was moving in, they'd probably be like, "Nope, we can't have her live here." I don't know. I also think comedy, though, has gotten a lot more PC and outragey. So I don't know. Me and my friend had written a script like 7 years ago, and we thought it was really funny. And then he went back and read it, and he was like, we have to change all of this. He's like,
this was 7 years ago.
From 7 years ago or 8 years ago till now, it's like even more PC. So he's like, we got to take all this stuff out.
It's so interesting. And what were you go on?
Well, just, we still think it's funny. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like what I guess the climate right now, or what it's like, there's no way we could, because I was going to send it to my manager, and I was like, oh no, we got to redo this. Like, we thought it was funny, but that's from 7 or 8 years ago.
Is there an example? Is there a specific example that you're like, this can't?
I didn't read it, but he said like the opening joke, I think, was something about like a transgender person or like I don't remember. He just said, he goes, we got to change this. And I was like, all right.
I just have this like vivid like memory of like just like for whatever reason this mom-ish aged woman will be like, you will not do this to me, like, and it's like, these are jokes, like, what are you talking, like.
Yeah, but it's just like, look, everyone's upset with Fallon now. He did blackface 20 years ago.
I know. And
so you're like 20 years ago, everyone thought that was okay.
I know, and it keeps changing. Like someone was telling me they're writing jokes, and I was like, I actually tweeted out on like a week ago, I tweeted out something along the lines of like, my biggest fear is finding out that my mom was taped arguing with customer service. And it's like, that was like, I'm waiting for that call to come. And then like 3 days go by, and that goes from like annoying Jewish old woman to like racist murder because of, you know, and you're like, oh my God, the whole context of this joke has changed and how people receive it.
Everything's changed. I mean, it's funny too, because you're like, well, Jimmy Fallon has to apologize. He's not a comic. Do you know what I mean? He's doing this show on NBC. So you just apologize. And then you listen to what people are saying. They're like, well, it was from 20 years ago. Then you're like, I don't know, man. I think you just got to apologize. At this point, it's like...
easy. Yeah, it's easier to apologize.
It's easier to just apologize. What I think it was about Chris Rock, and I'm pretty sure they're friends. So I don't know that it was malicious. I haven't even watched it. But you're just like, just apologize. It's just easier.
I watched it, and it's like, you know, it's a dead-on impression for Chris Rock. But then
that's what I was going to say. Is it good?
It's a good impression, and it's also not like he wasn't like lampooning him being black. You know, like he was lampooning Chris Rock. He was legitimately doing him. Yeah, but but again, this conversation doesn't happen online with people. They just go, that is wrong. And it's like, it is an interesting thing where we deal in the margins of a lot of things, where you're talking about like, we made a joke about someone who's transgender. Yeah, that could go from like evil to like a joke that would be about any type of person, you know, like, and there's no...
I had a joke about transgender people where I think it was like, why do they get upset if you call them by the wrong pronoun? You're like, you were born the wrong gender. Obviously, you get mistakes happen. And like, people get mad at that joke. And you're like, how? This
is about the wording. You know, this is about words.
Yeah, and it's like, we're all just, it's like walking on eggshells.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's also like this idea of like double talk. Like, nobody just says, I notice it with like, people from like Bravo or The Bachelor, like they all kind of like, they'll say things but then go back 3 steps and re-say it and then go forward 2 steps to say it again but now nicer, and I don't mean and I don't mean and I don't mean, and it's like we're taking an hour to say one thing that could have been, you know, like we're changing.
They're all hoping to get more Bravo shows, so I actually understand that. But you're right. It's almost like even podcasts, it's like the worst way to document anything you've tried to say in a funny way.
Yeah.
Where you're like, somebody could take a snippet from anything and turn it into the worst thing.
Sure. I mean,
do you remember everything you've said on a podcast?
I've been doing this twice a week for almost 7 years now. And then I went to 5 days a week. I think about that a good amount. Every now and again, I have a passing thought of like, yeah, of course I've said things that I would disagree with myself now. You know, like I would go back, like if I, of course, and we're about to give advice, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to give advice. Like maybe there's advice back from like 5 years ago that I was a different person then than I am now. Like I would like, it might be a fun exercise actually for me to do, just to go and like listen to an old show and then re-give the advice and maybe how I was wrong. And I think this all kind of comes down to like, you know, when you say that like Fallon apologized, that's easier. A lot of people think apologizing is like admitting that I am a horrible person or saying I'm wrong. Like no one is out there like taking the loss and just being like, yeah, I fucked up. I should have said it this way, because I do think
you can't even say that.
Because people hold on to the receipts. They go, well, we have the receipt. You said it wrong then. There's no apology. Go. Now you're over. Goodbye, everything. And we also don't know what they're saying goodbye to. Like, there's a big difference between Fallon saying I'm sorry and then everyone goes, okay, thank you. And then Fallon saying I'm sorry and going, okay, give us your job.
There's also no way to make everyone happy. He could apologize and people be like, that wasn't really an apology. I'm not happy with that. You're only apologizing because people caught you or people like brought this to your attention.
It's tough. It's so ridiculous. But I appreciate, I love your comedy. I want everyone to go find it at Adrian I. Palucci on Instagram. It'll be all over my platforms. Check out The Degenerate. The podcast Vag, I want you to do it with Sarah Tolamash.
Yes.
Give me the 1 minute breakdown of the podcast, and then we'll get to the emails so that people can find it.
It's basically just talking about what's going on in our lives, topical stuff. We're not super political, but like, talking about the pandemic, a little bit about the election. I mean, very little. We both don't really know what's going on. We make up a lot of the stuff where we're like, we don't know if this is true, but we're just going to say it.
We're going to be funny while we say it.
Yes,
what days does it come out?
It comes out on Wednesdays.
So Wednesdays, add Vag to your podcast library. Go do it right now. It's fantastic.
There's years of episodes. But I encourage everyone, go check out The Degenerates. So funny, so great. Let's do Trina I Do. You ready? I'm ready. Let's go.
You have a boyfriend now, right?
We're on a break.
Are you?
Yeah.
Did the quarantine break it all? What happened? Because I thought you guys were pretty serious.
I guess we're pretty serious. We're just taking a break. We both have some stuff to work on.
Okay. Well, I
don't want to say anything in a podcast I could get sued for. No, I'm kidding.
I don't think you're going to get sued.
No, I'm kidding.
My question is about the quarantine making it feel like my relationship has been put on fast forward. I'm 23 and my boyfriend is 24. We've been together for 4 years and been living together since last summer. We live on the East Coast, so we've been pretty heavily quarantined with each other since March. I'm a teacher, he's in radio, so we've been working from home, and honestly, it's been amazing. We get in little quarantine-induced tiffs because who doesn't? But we've been closer and have been having a great time being able to spend more time together than we normally would. He's really wonderful and super supportive, and this experience has solidified that he'll be there through the tough stuff. It feels like our relationship has been put in fast forward because I've started to think about the possibility of getting married. Hold for your "you're so young" comments. My question is how to bring it up in a chill way. I'm not trying to get married tomorrow, but I just want to get a temperature check on what he's feeling. Hope you're staying positive and testing negative. What do you think?
Get pregnant.
Yeah, there it is.
You'll know right away if he wants to get married or not.
You'll know if the tough stuff has really if he'll go through the tough stuff or not right there.
You don't even have to really get pregnant. You can just say you are.
What's the positive of this temperature check? Like what, from a female point of view, like what is she checking on? Like it's kind of like, I understand what she's saying, but like there's a point where I'm like, you said things are great. You're happy in this relationship. Like it feels like a lot of women, a lot of times with relationships, they'll go, everything's great. I just want to shake shit up and make sure that everyone's on the same page after the the shake up.
I agree. I think she's pretty young, so I know a lot of women don't want to waste time. I think, but she's really young, where she can waste time.
Also,
do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What do you want to know? That you guys will get married sooner and get divorced sooner? Just like. It's so rare that someone gets married and stays married forever. Like that's like so rare where it's like you get married at 25, you're probably going to get divorced by 30, 35.
to stay positive, of course.
Yeah, especially in that New York City apartment. Anyone that makes it through the pandemic right now in these tiny quarters, like what is that? That's going to be worth so much more than getting married. Well, someone you can stomach in a tight area.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and that's kind of what she's saying. She's like, things have gone so well. I want to know what he thinks about marriage. It's like, well, if things have gone well, like, can't you assume that that's on his mind too? Like, wouldn't
Can you just ask him?
Do you want to get married? What would you say?
Do you want to get married? Like, hey, I guess a lot of them just don't want to waste their time. I guess if she knew he doesn't want to get married like ever, or does he not want to get married right now? They're young, 23 years old.
But also they've been living together since last summer. Okay. So if that being said, you're moving towards your destination. Right. So what is to question right now? The idea that you're 23 and he's 24, you've been together for 4 years. Okay. That means you got together since when you were 18, 19 or 20, 19 and 20. 19 and 20-year-olds that are dating, that's not a real relationship to me. You guys may have been together, but that's not you're not living in reality. You're living in college you're living in, this younger time that's not. And then 22, you graduate, 22 he graduates. Okay, you guys get through that stuff. Now it's 23 and 24. You're working, you guys are living together now through this quarantine. Things are great. I don't know, like
what else does she want?
What else? Yeah, what are the things, like the possibility of getting married? Like To me, sometimes what I would feel like if I were him is that you're trying to get me to agree to something that I'll get blamed for if it doesn't happen.
Also, you're living together. You know, people don't want to live together, and then you're in this quarantine where you're like, this is almost like extra years. If you're together 4 months during this, like that's going to be like 3 years. For
sure. That's what's so like kind of, not crazy, but like kind of annoying to me. Like if someone came to me and goes, and what do you think about marriage? I'd be like, well, I guess of course I want to get married someday. Okay, well, at that point, when, and then it's like, I don't know when it makes sense for both of us, when we have that conversation. And then it's like, and then let's say a year from now, he goes, hey, we got through the quarantine, but this relationship isn't for me. Then she comes back to him and goes, well, you said you wanted to get married. And then to me, like sometimes it's almost like you're getting a case built against you for when the breakup comes, right?
As a woman, I'm constantly building a case. Even if things are going well, I'm just putting stuff in my head to use against you at a later time. That's basically...
Are you fucking with me? But this is what it feels like.
In a breakup is where I shine. That is my favorite part of a relationship.
Why is that? Because that's interesting to me.
Because that's when I really give it my all. Like in a relationship, the end for me is always the best. I'm great at being spiteful. I'm great at just like, I just have all this stuff in my head to mentally break someone down as a person.
Well, this is the point. This is like, to me, you're sharpening an arrow that can be piercing through his heart when you say, well, do you plan on getting married? Of course I plan on getting married. Do you plan on having kids? Of course I plan on having kids. Well, we're living together, so good. I guess we're on the right track. And then it doesn't happen. You go, stab him with that arrow because you're you said this and this and this.
I think what guys have to do is they have to also backstep. Yes, I would like to get married eventually if it's with the right person, and you got to even do that probably in relationships too.
But does that answer so? What you're saying is correct. You're preparing her for the answer she's going to get when she says to him.
She will not be happy with that.
That's what I'm saying.
She will want to know. If he says, if I think it's right, she'll be like, well, does this feel right? There's no way to win that agreement. You have to say yes and then apologize after when it doesn't work out. All we can do at this point is apologize for everything.
Yeah, it is interesting because if we went through the conversation, she will not be fulfilled by that conversation. She'll only feel worse. And it's like...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, she'll only be happy if he says, yes, I want to get married right after this.
And she says, I'm not trying to get married tomorrow. And it's like...
No, but she means next week, though. Not tomorrow, but next week.
But you're looking for some sort of promise. So to me, the promise is going to be less fulfilling. The promise you're looking for, you're not going to get, and the promise he gives is not going to be satiate you. So let's think of what satiates you. Hey, would you want to look at moving to a different apartment? Maybe you guys get a better apartment. Maybe you guys find a better living situation. Get a pet. Maybe there's other things you can bring up that you can go, hey, are we moving along? Because I think like when you've already moved in together at 24 and 23, you're like, okay, well, the next step is only engagement. That's the only next step. So it's like, okay, let's find some other things that don't get you in this world of like getting someone to agree to terms that they can't really make promises for.
I mean, it also would make sense, too, if one of them was like an artist and didn't have insurance and they were trying to see if somebody could get them on their insurance. But it seems like she's a teacher. She definitely has insurance. He works for a radio. I don't know if he has insurance or not. But it's a good way to trap a guy. If you date an artist that has no insurance and you're like, well, if you want to be on my insurance, let's get married.
Listen, COVID's going around. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Adrian Iapolucci at Adrian Iapolucci on Instagram. Go. Vag. That is the podcast. Go. Degenerates. Season 2. The Degenerates. All you got to do is search Adrian's name, or you can search The Degenerates. It'll pop right up. You can watch her legitimately right now. Getting out there post-quarantine breakup. Hello, Papa JT. I just broke things off with my boyfriends of 8 months. Essentially, I want something more serious, and it just wasn't the match for either of us. My question is, how should I put myself out there again with all the social distancing quarantine stuff happening? I'm not crazy about dating apps, but is that the only way right now? Any advice is appreciated. What do you think?
I think
you're on a break. So
I know.
How do you feel about being on a break? Are you like going out to date? Are you not? You're just kind of just living.
I'm just kind of like, I guess I don't know how old this girl is or what her situation is. I mean, you can go on, I've been trolling dudes on Tinder because I love it.
I love your Tinder trolls because it is such a fantastic look at how much guys are on there for
disgusting.
Disgusting. Quick and easy sex is really the answer to it, right?
You really can't say anything to turn them off.
Nothing.
No. I had this one guy tell me he was a rapper, and I said I wanted to listen to some of his music. So he emailed me an email that I think the email was like OJ killed NicoleSimpson.com.
Okay.
And or something like that. And he was just he was like, LOL, sent me the thing. I never listened to it, obviously, but I said to him, I wanted to interpret what the music meant to me. I said, let me know if this is close. And I said it was about a stewardess who always wants to be a pilot, but the patriarchy kept her down, and eventually she poisons everyone and takes control of the plane. I said, is that close? And he goes, yes. Close?
I just love
it's so insanely crazy.
Everyone go check out Adrienne on Instagram because she posts these Tinder conversations. I used to do I would post Tinder conversations and Bumble conversations. The whole point when I was posting it was that Bumble, the whole premise was a woman has to say hi to the guy first. So my point was always to write back the saddest, longest, most revealing response to tell these women basically that they've walked into a horror show of emotions. What I love about yours is that you post these things where it's they're like, hey, what's up? And you're like, you're just basically letting them think they have found someone who's as sexually active as they are.
It could be anything. You just give them you just act normal for a couple of seconds, a couple of lines, and then you go nuts. I told some guy that my dad got killed because he traveled with the circus and was killed by an elephant. And he was like, wow, that's crazy. But that's it. It's not there's something. He was like, can I have your phone number? Can we talk more? And I was like, I'm really, getting over the loss of my father, my fear of elephants. And he was like, okay, we could take it slow. But that's the
well, I mean, to me, it's a lesson to all these women that write in here that are like, well, this guy I met on an app, these people are just you have to understand, the fear of getting murdered is not there for men. So, so when you say, I'm just trying to get over this elephant accident, he's like, all right, cool. There's no well, she's too weird to go hang out with alone,
I guess my thing is women are always worrying about what's the right thing to say and how many hours should I wait before I respond to him. It's do whatever you want. Nothing can really turn these guys off to you.
Nothing is going to get in the way of the penis.
Yeah, nothing that you could do about calling. I guess there's difference between being incessantly annoying and stuff, but there's really very little you can do to turn these guys off.
Especially before you fucked and with the hypothetical of you two fucking. So it's basically what you're doing is you're showing people that a penis could have put in front of it. I don't know, I'm just really into murder porn and I like to cut each other while we have sex. And the penis is I know this is a bad idea, but let's see where this goes. I guess I'm into murder porn too now.
You can't turn them off. I told one guy who looked like a mix between John Legend and Jim, whatever his name is, John Kim-un, whatever. And he was like, oh, I don't know how I should take that. But he didn't stop talking to me. And I was like, well, I think he has great leadership skills. But he still kept talking to me.
Yeah, he doesn't.
At no point was he like this. Yeah, because I think guys are just thinking short term. That's the difference.
Absolutely.
They're not thinking, can I marry this person?
Well,
they're just, can I fuck this person and move on?
Totally. Well, to segue that into this email where she's just broken things off with a guy that she was with for 8 months because she's looking for more serious. Just know that these things this is going to take a while. This isn't going to happen today. So I'd encourage her to meet a lot of people. The biggest thing I would encourage her to do, she says, how do I put myself out there again with all the social distancing quarantine stuff happening? Go talk and hang with your friends. Your friends are go have fun with your friends. Do a Zoom happy hour. Let them know. talk about the breakup, talk about that you're out there, and let them know what you were looking for, because your friends are dating people, your friends are married or engaged, their boyfriends are getting the ear to their friends who are going, and then they go, you know who's looking for something serious? She just broke up, and then the friends go, oh, so your best, like, I know she's not excited about the apps, but like the apps are a piece of the pie. You go on there realizing that you're going to meet a lot of fucking dudes that are just looking to fuck, and don't take any of those introductions too seriously. And then you go and hang out with your friends on a Zoom cocktail hour, and they go, oh, you know, and they go back to their boyfriends or husbands, and they go, you know, Elaine has really just got out of a breakup, and she's like looking, you know, and that's the.
I think if you can meet somebody through somebody, that seems like the best way. Somebody that
absolutely
someone else can kind of almost interview for you, and then if it doesn't work out, you have someone to blame. Now, if you're on these dating sites, you really can only blame yourself.
Well, that's the thing. That's why your dating app interactions are so interesting. Is like these guys have nothing to lose by being disgusting animals. Like when you say like, I like, there's other ones that you put up that are so fucking funny where you're like, yeah, like you'll say you're into crazy shit, and they're like, cool, you know, like they're not like there's nobody to like judge them for it.
There was one guy that no matter what I said, I could not turn him off. It was like the one guy that I mean, I told him I was going to prison. Yeah. I told him that my safe word was Hitler. I mean, like nothing I said was a deterrent. This guy gave me his address and his phone number.
And that is the difference.
Nothing
doesn't matter.
Nothing was a deterrent. I had to leave the conversation myself.
We are sponsored, people. The J Train podcast is brought to you by Features. Oof. Let me tell you, I love these socks. They're amazing. They're really so good, so comfortable. And the reality is, every day you pick up socks out of your drawer and you kind of let them be just okay. Because they're socks. You don't think they matter. You don't think that they're a big deal. You don't think that they're going to affect the rest of your day, but they do. Because the old socks you have are getting you by, but they're not enhancing your life. To perform at your best, you need to feel your best from head to toe. Features has solely focused on making the best high-performance socks for the last 20 years. Their socks have a cushion-like fit that conforms to the unique shape of your foot, and it prevents issues you have with conventional socks. No more bunching, slipping, or blisters. It's like having a second skin. I have these Feature socks, and I have to say, and I have them in all the styles. The low cut, the high cut, the long sock, and all of them are great. I gotta say, because I'm one of those people that kind of just like, I'll wear the same underwear for a week. I'll wear the same socks for 7 years. I'll have these socks that, like, you know, the ones that used to have the stretch and now they're stretched out and they're kind of sad looking. That's what I'm like. I'll let that stuff go. The minute I put these on my feet, I was like, oh, whoa. I clicked my heels. I had a little pep in my step, and it genuinely makes you feel good all over your body. Features are engineered to help you achieve your best every day, whether you're working out or on the go. Targeted compression acts like a hug around the arch of your foot, keeping the sock in place and preventing it from sliding down into your shoe. That's a big deal. These socks stay on. They're not going to get bunched up. They're not going to like make you walk a different way and then you're going to be shaking your foot midway through the day. Plus, they got a lifetime guarantee. Features are so durable and long lasting that if you're unsatisfied at any point, they'll give you a replacement pair, no questions asked. And the best part is, this is a family-owned business that's been passed down from father to sons. Their mission to create products that help you achieve your personal best. See why Features has quickly become the #1 running sock in America. For listeners of the J Train podcast, here's your free money. You can receive $10 off your first pair of Features by going to features.com. Use my code JTRAIN. That's $10 off your first pair when you go to feetures.com. Promo code JTRAIN at checkout. Again, that's features.com. Use my code JTRAIN to get $10 off your first pair of Features. We are sponsored, people. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by FabFitFun. We just got the summer box. It's full of great stuff. We got a hydropeptide face oil, Tare Mare toner, a scent diffuser, and sunglasses from Tom's. I love a FabFitFun box. Right now, I got to say, right now we're all being hard on ourselves. We're unsure of the future. We're not sure if we're doing enough. Am I working from home kind of stinks? Am I feeling good about my day? Here's a way to feel good about your day. Treat yourself. Get the FabFitFun box and you get a whole bunch of goodies and you're going to love everything that comes in it. And also, I can tell you because I get it for Jess, my girlfriend, and things become a part of her everyday life. That's the genuine love I have for FabFitFun, is that it gives you an opportunity, because we're all hard on ourselves. We're all really tough. We walk through the stores, we go online, we scroll, we get to we put things in the checkout, and then you go, no, I shouldn't spend the money. That's where FabFitFun comes in. It takes that guilt out of your mind. It's a gift, and it's a great gift, especially now. It's like having the world delivered to you. You get 8 to 10 full-size items. The best part about FabFitFun right now is that you can get your must-haves without leaving your house, too. That's big. And each box is a whole new use. Skincare, beauty, home decor, accessories. It's self-care delivered. I know you miss shopping. I know you miss the little things like being able to get your nails done or discover a new product you love. That's why FabFitFun is so great. I learn about new products through them. That's the thing. Now you got one thing in here that you go, well, that's who I am now. The best part is that you can pick what you get. Yes, they have awesome editors who curate, but you get to pick what comes with it. This box would cost me over $200 if we went out and bought each item individually. But with FabFitFun, I get everything in here for just $49.99. It's time to customize your box for the summer season. Sign up today to get your first box. Join a community of over 1 million obsessed women. Use coupon code JTRAIN. That's coupon code JTRAIN. That's coupon code JTRAIN for $10 off your first box at FabFitFun.com. Once again, that's code JTRAIN for $10 off your first box at FabFitFun.com.
JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Here with Adrian Iapolucci at Adrian Iapolucci. The Degenerates, go, go, go. Silence after expressed interest, what gives? Okay, so we're talking about nothing turns guys off. Now this is a different situation. Love the podcast. Let's get right to it. A week before Memorial Day, I had a socially distanced date with a guy from Hinge. Date lasted 7 hours. We had a great time. And as soon as he got home, he texted me to say he wanted to see me again. Over the next several days, we texted here and there. But eventually they fizzled out. By Memorial Day, we hadn't spoken in 3 days. I texted him asking me if he was still interested in hanging out again. He said, yeah, that would be cool. I responded agreeing and mentioned that I wasn't sure since we hadn't spoken much recently. I haven't heard from him since. I've attached screenshots of the exchange. Do you think he's actually interested or did he just agree and then go silent to avoid straight up rejecting me? If you do think he's interested, should I reach out first or wait for him to put in some work and come to me? So I'm going to read the text messages she sent. You ready? And this is after she felt he got distant. This is, hey, hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day, winky face. He writes, hey, it was pretty low key. How about you? She writes, had a nice day in blank for a cookout. He writes, that sounds fun. It didn't feel like a holiday to me for some reason. She writes, yeah, it didn't really feel like Memorial Day. Felt too chill. How you feeling? You still interested in getting together again? He writes, yeah, that would be cool. How are you feeling? Yeah, I'd like to see you again. Just wanted to check in and see if you were still feeling it since you haven't talked much since we last hung out. That's where they left. What
this
do you
dude
think
doesn't, he's not interested. That's it. You had a 7-hour first date? Did they Zoom for 7 hours?
No, they actually had a socially distant date that lasted 7 hours.
He's not interested.
Interesting. Yeah, You know, I agree with you. I don't think he's interested in the way she is interpreting interest. Like,
I think he's like, when she's like, hey, do you still want to hang out? He's like, yeah, I'll fuck you. I don't think he wants anything more than that. He's definitely not putting any energy into it. He's not interested. Just like, I've done that too, where I've ignored the red flags. And then I'm like, why didn't I stop? And it's like, because you just keep giving people like an out. This dude's not interested.
Also, a lot of guys are going to be just nice enough to let you keep coming back. So, like, when he's just being agreeable. Here's what a lot of people are going to have to deal with coming up, and I kind of see the future right now. A lot of people are going to have to deal with someone they had a good date opting out before they've even fucked. Because what has happened is she gives a perfect example. She references something very important. The date lasted 7 hours. I don't care if the date lasted 7 days. If you didn't fuck, he was there knowing that this has now gotten deeper and more involved than that he can get away from while still staying casual. So he's going to, so a lot of guys are going to go, you're going to be like, hey, I'm telling this guy I want to hang out again. We had such a great first date. He says he wants to get together, but he just won't get together again. It's because, you're not on date 2 anymore. You're on date 7 hours plus, whatever amount of time you spend on the phone. So you're going to have like all these people in your rearview mirror that you're like, I spoke to that guy for like 8 hours on the phone and he doesn't even want to go on a date. It's like, because he can't have sex with you without feeling like a mass, an
I think
asshole.
it might be hard to have sex during the socially distancing if you're worried about getting sick. But I also think this guy's like, let's hang out. Meaning, like, if I'm in a CVS and you're in the same CVS and you're like, hey, you want to go get a drink? He's like, okay, that's how he's going to hang out. Like, maybe, but like, I'm not going to plan it ahead of time. I'm not going to write this in my calendar. If he wanted to hang out again, he would make it known. Guys are if they want something, they get it.
Well, from experience, and it's just as far as like, it is funny that like via the kind of like the social experiment you've done with Tinder, that
is true.
You've basically said to them like that guy, you said you reference Hitler, and he's like, here's my address.
Yes, Hitler was not a problem for him.
And it's because he thought this was going to be like, didn't he think it was going to be a casual, like, let's have, get together right away?
I think, like you said, guys do not have the fear of getting murdered. So like in his head, he's like, what's the worst that happens? I meet up with her. She's nuts. Maybe we fuck. Maybe we don't.
Well,
I think that's how most guys are handling it. They're just
seems like, well, guys have less of a fear of getting murdered than they do of getting serious with people.
Yes. Absolutely. I think to a lot of guys, getting serious seems a lot worse than just getting murdered.
Yeah. I mean, in this situation right here that we're talking about, the first date, 7, just like you said, during these times, not a lot of hooking up's going to happen. So you went on that first date for 7 hours. Okay, he's here for it. What's the second date going to be? This guy's like, I'm not going on another 7-hour date without fucking.
He's like, a long first date.
Well, it's a long first date, but he's realizing, he's like, oh, if we go on a second date where I make the plan and we do another 7 hours together without having sex, we've basically done a month of dating where it's more serious than I want to be.
I would say right now, dating during I think it's kind of a waste of time. Like, I think you need to start dating. Like, if this is going to end and there's like a virus, not a virus, if there was a vaccine, I'd be like, start dating right now. But who knows how long we're going to be in this?
Well, I think it's a waste of time to start planning a future. I think like as far as like, hey, you want to meet somebody, you guys want to go talk for a little bit because it's nice to meet somebody new, good for you. But like the idea that because you had a 7-hour date means that day 2 will be a 7-hour date too, where you get to know each other even more. No. He's going to go, hold off, partner.
The fact that she keeps initiating the contact where he's not being mean and saying no, but he's not really initiating first. I would leave it alone.
It's time to back off. It's time to, let him make the work.
There's so many other people that aren't worth your time. Go waste some time on them.
JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Adrian Iapolucci. The Degenerates. Go, go, go. How about this one? How to tell my ex I can't be his sourdough guru. Okay. 26 and my boyfriend 29 broke up early March after 7 months. He moved several provinces away for a job. Oh, it must be from out of the country. Several provinces away for a job and was fairly amicable breakup. We've stayed in contact, but not much, just a DM here and there checking in. Because of COVID, his job didn't pan out and he's now unemployed living in his parents' basement. Oof. Understandably, he's really upset about this, and I would definitely say he's depressed. I'm a professional baker with a thriving side hustle, baking, selling sourdough, which has really taken off during COVID. When we were together, he wasn't interested at all in my baking, but in the last few weeks, he's gotten really into sourdough, which has resulted in him messaging me a ton. 2-hour FaceTime calls to troubleshoot his bread, and him suddenly sending me a lot of I miss you messages. The issue here is, 1, he could Google or YouTube everything I'm telling him about bread, and 2, I've met someone new and we are really hitting it off. I really want to give this new guy a chance, and I feel like I can't do that when my ex is constantly messaging me, calling me, FaceTiming me about his sourdough. But I don't know how to tell my ex. I don't know how to tell my ex I can't be his baking guru. I feel really bad that he's struggling right now, and I don't want to kick him while he's down, so to speak. I need to talk to him so he doesn't find out about my new man via an Insta story or something. But how do I tell him I'm seeing someone without being hurtful? Any and all advice would be appreciated. Sending you all the love from Nova Scotia. So what do we think?
I think she has to just be honest with him.
Yeah.
First of all, talking to an ex is never, like, unless one of them is turned gay and there's no way you could ever get back. Like, there's just nothing good comes from talking to an ex.
Yeah. And you have to think of, like, the reason he's talking to you. Like, if things were, like, kicking at his new job.
He doesn't care about sourdough.
Yeah.
Even if he did, it's, like, too little too late. You should have cared about when I was together with you baking it. Yeah.
And he cares about that he's lonely. Like, you fill a void for him. So, like, he's coming to you being like, oh, what can I connect with her about without having to hear that I'm a loser who left her too soon or broke this off? You know what I mean? Like, sourdough is like the side door into avoiding his own loneliness. So I think I don't know if the best way to go is be like, hey, I'm seeing someone new. See you later. I don't think that's the best way to go.
I think she could just write to him and be honest and be like, hey, man, I think it's probably best we don't really speak. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't allow her to move on. And also it keeps her engaged in the relationship. Even though there's not a relationship, it's still there. You know what I mean? Like the entanglement. I would just say it doesn't allow me to move on, and maybe down the line we could be friends again. And here's my sourdough recipe for the last time.
Yeah. I think I totally agree. I think letting this person know that it's a me problem. It's not a you problem.
Yes,
this is
true.
A me problem. I feel I am being held back from moving on by us talking, and I know it's just about sourdough, but that's not the point. And so that addresses his rebuttal where he goes, whoa, I'm just trying to get bread tips. And it's like, there's many places for you to get bread tips, but your search of bread tips is holding me back from moving on to different things. And that's all it has to be. And because at that point, right now you're in this like weird zone where it's like if he met a girl tomorrow that he'd be onto that, and he'd be like that it got him excited.
How soon he'd forget about sourdough.
Yeah, and right now he's living in this world where he's not an asshole. And if he moved on to that different, a girl that's baking banana bread instead of sourdough, and he was like, oh, I took on a new hobby, that's why I don't talk to you anymore, then he'd be like, absolve this, but he's really using you until he gets to the banana bread bitch. Yeah.
He doesn't he like broke up with her, and then his circumstances took a nosedive, and now he's like, I guess he probably wants the stability that relationship may be created, but for her, it's not good for her. Yeah, so I think telling him it's not good for me, and not making, when you make it about the other guy. You don't have to be mean. Yeah, no, keep it in the eye, and like not point your finger.
Yeah, and to say like, well, I found someone new. That's not the reason he will feel good about hearing. He's not going to hear that and go. He's going to hear that and try to like compete with that. You want to show him there's no competition. There's no race to be run. You need to go home. We're not running the race today.
Yeah.
We are sponsored, people. J-Train Podcast is brought to you by Feels CBD. Listen, I have that little
little anxiety every morning. I wake up, I start brushing my teeth, I'm looking in the mirror. What are you doing with your life? Are you crazy? You scream into a microphone all day? Did you sleep enough? Are you eating too much? Are you drinking too much? You know what I do? I drop a little bit of Feel CBD under the tongue, and I gotta say, I'm a believer. I wasn't sitting here being like, I'm not sitting here in my hemp, sweatshirt, smoking weed, like, hey man, you gotta do the CBD to feel right. No, I wasn't that guy. But now I'm in. I take CBD every morning. I feel good. I just enjoy it. And I think with Feels, they've made it easy to enjoy. It's premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. And if you've never tried it before, let me just demystify you. It will not get you high. It just makes you a little bit more relaxed, nothing more. There's no high, hangover, addiction. Feels gets to work fast. Just put a few drops under your tongue and boom. You'll be feeling the difference within minutes. If you've never tried CBD and are a little nervous, that's me. That was me. Feels is the best place to start because you can start with their lowest dosage. It's really easy to see on the vial, and you can work your way up until you feel right. And the best is that they have a hotline. So you can call and talk to real humans, and you can call anytime. And they'll let you know about the studies and kind of demystify the whole thing. And that's what made me feel good about it. Once you add CBD in your life, you're going to want to make it a regular part. I'll say, let me also tell you, they send me the free stuff. I gave it a shot. I called the hotline. I talked it out. I'm now on a regimen. I'm now buying. I'm a customer. So Feels helps me feel my best, and it can help you too. Special for my listeners. If you become a member today by going to feels.com/JTrain, you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/JTrain to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. One more time, feels.com/JTrain and feel better. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com, JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Ooh, I like this one. Quarantine match doesn't feel the same in person. See, these are people, they're meeting. And then they're like,
they're wasting a lot of time.
They've already wasted a lot of time. They've texted for years. Feather, I'm emailing you the morning after the first in-person date with a lady that I met during quarantine. We matched on Hinge and have been talking for almost 6 weeks now. My state recently loosened up restaurant restrictions, so we decided to grab a dinner at a nice spot in our city. Okay. We met up, hung out most of the night, but I feel bad for saying that the spark just wasn't there like it was over FaceTime and text. The past 6 weeks, we really shared a lot with each other since that was the best we could do, but I can't help feeling that I emotionally masturbated to the fantastical version of her that I created in my head. I don't want to make it seem like she misrepresented herself. She's gorgeous and everything I thought she would look like, but there was just something missing. It has really made me rethink the way I approach things because I genuinely thought this was someone I could date for a long time. Maybe I got caught up in the story of it all. I guess my question to you is, what do I do next? The date ended with a kiss, goodbye, and plans to get together for a walk around our city. I don't want this email to make it seem like I'm not interested in her because we do click so well personality-wise. I just feel like I might have set my expectations higher than I thought. How prevalent do you think this situation will be now as some states are loosening things up? Also, I'm sorry to any female listeners that might get a chill up their spine from hearing this. No, that's not.
It sounds like he's responding to the first girl that went on that 7-hour date.
Right? It kind of does. You're right. I think this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, we were put in this position where you could legitimately write yourself a script to make yourself sound however you'd want to sound.
Of course.
And it goes both ways. So you can just think of the way you FaceTime. You put it at a taller angle. Everything about it is produced. It's okay to meet someone and not feel the spark. This is called dating. This is called life, right?
Yeah, and I think it's that point where that's uncomfortable to say because, like, if you're a decent person, you don't want to hurt that person's feelings, and that person, depending on what their maturity level is, it's going to take it personally. But nobody wants to be told that someone doesn't like them, even if you don't like them. I'm sure
Of
you've been in a
course.
situation where you didn't like somebody and you kind of just were dating them, and then they turned around and ended it, and you're like, I didn't even like you. So like, just
Yeah.
that nobody wants to be rejected,
Sure.
but it's better to say it nicely and just say, hey man, like I did have a nice time with you, but I feel like the connection wasn't there. I need a fucking screen in between us for this to work.
It's almost harder because they spent 6 weeks, like, and it's like, but
I
it's
know.
but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you might have been open because that was the only thing you could do, is really be open and honest with people.
That's
and
true.
It's like, you know what? People have had worse. People have had, people have gotten to know each other over 20 years and said this marriage isn't for me. So,
Also, I think when the start of the quarantine everyone I think was a lot more scared. So I feel like you maybe were talking to people you didn't really care that much for, but you're like, hey, we could die. I'd rather talk to this person than someone I don't really like.
Sure.
So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are disappointed.
Yeah, so I think like what this guy needs to do is not do what the last emailer did, and that's
Yes.
to be direct and honest. Hey, I had a really great time meeting you. I had a really good time on the date. For me, it's not a romantic match, and I'm sorry to put it that way, but I don't want to hold you up, and I don't want to waste any more of your time, because this is the process I needed to go through to, there's a lot of people that want agreements before they start dating. It's like, you're never going to get that. You're never going to meet someone on, like, when people online go, what are you looking for here? No one knows.
It's also hard to predict what is a spark. Like, somebody on paper can look very good. You could be attracted to them. They can be nice, but there's something missing. And that's hard. You can't predict that through a screen. You can't predict that until you're really in person with somebody. And unfortunately, that is a big part of dating through apps, and that you're only going to see that by meeting people.
Have you ever been with someone where the story of it makes so much sense that you keep going with it?
Of course, something
you know
that
what I mean?
If like something, I think people in quarantine, that will happen too. Like two people that were had family members who died from COVID, and what I mean? Like stuff where you get so into the story.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some people be like, well, this is a nice person. I'm 42. Let me get married. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to predict how you're going to feel until you meet somebody. So that's why I think most people they're like, hey, let's not get to know each other for hours and weeks through texting. Let's meet right away. But right now it's a little bit hard because of social distancing. So that's why, I don't know, man. Go through your recycle bin. See if anyone in there is good. I don't know.
Another big difference to it is that you're gonna listen, when I started, there are people that you start with over text, and then you get on the couch with them and they're looking at their phone every 5 minutes, and you're like, who else are you texting with? And sometimes they're just really good at going back with anybody that texts them. It's this wasn't a connection that you guys necessarily had. It's a connection they could have with anybody.
True.
I can get along pretty well with people over text. And then
most people can.
Right? And then you get in front of them in person, you're like, man, I don't get to turn this conversation on and off when I want to. And you're like, this is an exhausting you know what I mean? It's just a different world.
Texting and watching TV. You know what I mean? You don't know how invested you are in this conversation. You're really just taking breaks from TV. You're not taking breaks from that conversation. So
and it's and it's maybe the gifts, I'm not even as funny as the gifts I could send. You're like, oh, you really fucking patched up a lot of this relationship with gifts, that can happen too.
I would say maybe don't talk to people for too long. If you can socially distance, but also too, you don't really know how a lot of chemistry also comes from kissing and, so it's hard if you're not doing any of that to know there could really be no sexual chemistry there.
But again, this is why a lot of people are going to go on first dates with people that they've been talking to for 6 months. And there's going to be people going, I could, but I don't want to. I could keep going with them, but I really don't, I don't want to get now 6 weeks after the 6 weeks with them.
Or they feel pressure because they already wasted 6 months where they're like, well, I kind of feel bad for this person. I led them on for 6 months.
And it's like, but that isn't leading on. That's what my issue with this email is. Like, this is called dating. You have the right to vet out a partner in the same way they had a right to vet you. And this is kind of why I get like a little upset when people are like, well, how do they feel about me? And it's like, well, you are saying I don't have any taste in the matter, then you're going to be let down by this person at some point. You're like leading yourself for a letdown because you didn't give them any standard.
The problem is nobody wants to be rejected. You ever even take a job and it just isn't working out? And even if you, like I just said, even if you're not into the job, if you get fired, it just hurts your self-esteem. You know, so it's just like, rejection is really hard.
How'd I get fired from a job I didn't even want? Yeah.
Right. Because it's just that rejection. It's so hard to be rejected. And I think like if you can just do it in a nice way where you keep it on yourself, where you're like, this just doesn't work for me. I think you're great, but I am not into you, you know?
Yeah. This isn't a romantic match. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
And
that's
do
true.
And do it sooner. Do it sooner than later, because that's this guy, the other guy from the other email that's sitting there being like, yeah, I'd hang out. That's it. Yeah, I'd hang out means yeah, I'd let you blow me. That's really what it means.
Sure. Absolutely. I used to have a friend that would say he was not attracted to girls, but he would say, but I'd let them blow me, which means like any guy will let you blow them. And that guy, like you said, he's like, sure. If you want to blow me, I'll let you blow me.
Yeah. In the most, and not even in
passive way.
In the most easy for my schedule way to make it happen.
Absolutely. I'm walking down your block, my pants fall off and you blow me. That's how I'm willing to do it. I'm not going to go out of my way.
No, not at all. I'm not even going to break stride. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com, JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. Let's do one more, Adrian. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
At Adrian I. Palucci, go, go, go. The Degenerates, go, go, go. Vag is the podcast. Let's do one more. 2 years ago, I lived on the East Coast and was doing a bit of online dating. There was one guy I dated for 5-ish months, but it's just sort of fizzled out. While we were together, he would talk about moving to the West Coast, specifically to the city that my sister lived in, and I was also considering moving to. I didn't think it was necessary to mention that. I was always thought of potentially moving there because I didn't want to make things weird. Also, being the typical 24-year-old female that I am, I tried to look him up on social media just to creep. I don't like following unless it's official, and couldn't find him, so I assumed that he had some strange Insta handle or something. Turns out that right as things were fizzling, my sister told me that I could move into her second bedroom in the new city, so I jumped right on board. I didn't really think about the fact that this guy might also still be moving here. But a few months later, he followed me on Instagram. His handle was literally just his name, which confused me as to why I couldn't find him when we were together. He had posts with some girl that looked exactly like me and started to like all of my posts and post stories of living in the same new city as me. Now 4 months have gone by and all he's doing is liking my shit and watching my stories. What gives? What is he trying to do by following me? I've been thinking about hitting him up because he's hot, but I also thought he might have been gay, so I don't know. But did he have me blocked while we were seeing each other? Did he follow me just to prove that he also moved here, or is he gearing up to actually make a move? Help.
Well, I guess I want to know how long he's had that account for. Has he always had that account? Like, did he? Because he might have blocked her for a bit.
It sounds like he might have blocked her, and it sounds like he blocked her to not show her that he got serious with a different girl, not her.
That looks just like her?
Yeah, well, it sounds like to me, like, when you're seeing someone for 5 months-ish, so let's call it
3 months.
Yeah, let's call it like 3 months of like actual dating, 2 months of like will they, won't they. So like let's call it 3 months, but then during that time he might have been seeing other people and that one went more serious than it would with her, so he ended up blocking her to make sure she wouldn't see that he was also seeing someone else at the time, and that got more serious. Like that makes sense.
That seems like what he did.
It seems like what he did. So, like, I think now that he's in this new city, like, he's away from the old girl. Now he can kind of do the switcheroo. He can block that other girl so that she can't find him and talk to her. So, I think anyone that does this much maneuvering, like, it's like, sure, you think he's hot, you want to go hook up? Yeah, he'll hook up just like the, whatever, right?
I think if you want to hook up with him and expect nothing else, that's fine. But, like, This is a guy that's, I mean, you're also young. So I think like being 24, it's hard to like say exactly what this guy wants. But I think if you can hook up with him and have no expectations from it, that's fine, but I find a lot of women cannot do that. It's hard for me to even have low expectations. So, or like like if we hook up and then I'm like, well, are you seeing other people? So I don't know. This guy already has blocked you and I'm unblocked you now. It seems like if you can fuck him and not get attached to him, sure. But if you think you're going to get attached to him, I would say don't do it.
Here's the thing, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you. It is interesting that technology was almost created, and I've said this a little bit, but this email like kind of brings it out. I've said this a little bit on the podcast, and I've been kind of like working on this theory for a long time now, where social media and dating apps have given the ability for losers to act like non-losers. So like for this guy, you know, the effort, instead of going to a bar every night, sitting at the bar, meeting people, going up to women, introducing himself, being like, you know, like, and trying to like hook up, having one night stands every night of the week and dealing with failure, he has put that effort into the online version of himself. So now instead of being a in-person scumbag, he's being like a hyper scumbag via all the social media tools he has. Like the energy that's put into blocking someone, then unblock, like based on the premise that we just brought up, where he blocked her, then unblocked the other ones, then reblocked her, you know, to be able to hook up. This is a guy who's basically, he's like a science lab professor, you know, doing whatever he can to not have to be in person and get turned down, right?
I just think this dude doesn't seem like it's someone that you'd want to date, you know,
No.
like long term. But if you think he's hot and you want to fuck him, but like just know it's just that. He doesn't seem, you know what I mean? And also, like you said, he's now in your town where he probably doesn't know a lot of people. So it's not even necessarily, I'm sure he probably is attracted to you, but it's maybe not necessarily that he likes you so much. He doesn't have a lot of people he knows there. I don't know.
Yeah, and you and I are going to be right. I don't know when we're going to be right, but we're going to be right. Like she could be she could actually go into this and the guy's like super attentive. They end up dating. And then 3 months later, I still think he's going to be the person to say, hey, I wasn't looking to get serious now that he's comfortable in his town. He, you know, like it does seem like someone like this is not comfortable being uncomfortable. So
yeah, because he couldn't even deal with her possibly seeing this other chick he was with.
Yeah, well, he couldn't even deal with the idea of being casual when he says he's being casual. So he didn't want to deal with the repercussions of that. So when your whole mindset is like moving around the deck chair so you're never uncomfortable, then you're going to go to a new city. You're going to like attach yourself to the leg of some girl that you know is a safe bet that has said yes to you before until you don't need her anymore, because then you can get off the water wingies and you can start swimming on your own.
This is the thing too. I know she says he's hot, but like, you could sleep with another hot guy that's not a dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially too, I don't know. I guess maybe if they've slept together and it's been amazing, you know, like, okay. But like the likelihood is women can really sleep with a lot of hot guys. And I'm sure this girl is attractive and can sleep with somebody who's just a better person. He doesn't seem like a great dude.
Wouldn't you rather have a one night stand with someone than be this like back burner pick for someone?
Absolutely.
Right? Like if the choice, if the idea is like, I want to fuck a hot dude, like what's gonna be more filling? It's like going to McDonald's versus going and getting like a steak dinner. Like the steak dinner is gonna cost you more. It's gonna be more invested, but you're gonna walk away being like, I had an experience. I had a fun.
I was fulfilled.
I was fulfilled instead of just like falling back on McDonald's where you ordered a bunch that made you not that, you know, didn't really fill you up.
Also, if she hooks up with this guy again for a bit and he acts like this again, she really only can blame herself. Yeah. And that's not even a judgment call. I've done that too, where you just ignore the red flags. And then like a year or 2 years later, you're upset and you're like, well, you ignored all these flags.
Yeah. This was all in Jared and Adrian told you on a podcast.
Yeah. I would say dump this dude I don't know. It's annoying when somebody keeps liking all your stuff, like giving you that dig. I know you used to call it like tapping the window.
It's window tapping, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Even if that's annoying at some point, I'd be like, hey man, can you stop liking my shit? Or block him back.
Or
I know
block
it's
him
petty,
back.
but it's like, you don't need this guy.
But it's petty for 5 minutes, and then it feels good the rest of your life.
Yes, because then you don't have to constantly be reminded of him every time you see his dumb like.
Well, that's a thing that people like. People graze over this like it's such an easy thing. Like we listen on this podcast, we're giving advice that's easy to give, hard to take. I always say that because I want people to understand that I understand why you wouldn't take the advice.
Of course.
The idea that seeing someone who watches your Instagram stories doesn't make you feel you should be better than seeing someone in your Instagram stories is insane. It's totally normal.
None of us are better.
None of us are better than that. So it's totally normal to see someone in your Instagram stories and go, boy, that brings me to a bad place. I want to get away from that bad place. I am going to remove the reason the bad place has been brought to, so I'm going to remove that person. And if they say to you, why'd you block me? You go, hey, listen, that's the time for vulnerability. I have the answer for that. Hey, when I see your face on my stories, it reminds me of someone that didn't really want to be in a relationship with me, and I did. But I've moved on from that now.
Or somebody that didn't treat me well, and I'd rather not be reminded on a daily basis. You know,
absolutely. And it's like I think a lot of people don't block people because they're afraid of what that interaction that never happens will happen. How do they respond without seeming petty? And it's like you respond by being vulnerable.
Yeah. It's hard though. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's the same reason why people don't want to be rejected, because it puts you in a very vulnerable place. So yeah, I've had friends that have broken up with boyfriends and said to them, hey, I'm going to block you on stuff just because I need to kind of take care of myself right now. And that's a way to do it too, where you're not saying I hate you. You're just saying I need to kind of move past this. And if I see your name every day, it just keeps me in that loop kind of. So take care of yourself. I'd say block this guy.
I agree.
Fuck someone else.
jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Adrian Ipalucci, thank you for coming on. This is fantastic.
Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
I loved having you on. We got to do it again. Everyone, go follow Adrian at Adrian Ipalucci on Instagram. The Degenerates, that's on Netflix right now. What a fantastic special. 15 minutes. Go watch it. You're going to love Adrian. Minutes. I promise you.
I'm the absolute last person on it.
It's fuck. It's very funny, and I love it. So, and also Vag is the podcast. Go follow that. Adrian, thank you for coming on. I'm Jared Freid. We're here Monday through Friday. Of course, Monday through Friday. Keep telling your friends, coworkers, brothers, sisters, and I'll be right back next episode. Boom.